What is up guys, Daddy Furious is again in the house. Now if you're a new player that just started the game, or you are a player that made a jumper account and you want to play KVK 1 again, so you want to know how you can be dominant on the field, rallies and garrisons, so you can get as many kills as possible and be successful during KVK 1, don't worry because this video is exactly for you. Now what I did is I made a new account in a Season 1 Kingdom, and if you click in the rules and go to season limits, we can see all the available commanders that you can use during KVK 1, same with their equipment. Alright guys, so the first thing to keep in mind is that you guys want to use commanders that will last you up to years, for example up to 2 years or even 3 years, because putting them on a bench like Ronaldo during World Cup, it is painful and you guys don't want to throw them away after one time of using. So we are here only for value and for efficiency. Now we will talk about every commander, their combinations and pairings. We will talk about their most important skills and which ones of course are going to be useful in KVK 2, KVK 3 and Season of Conquest, so you guys can be sure of making a good investment. And by the end of the video, we will talk about which equipment is the best to invest on. So without any further, let's get to the video, and as always, take a seat back, take your coffee and your notes, and please enjoy. Alright guys, so we will talk about 3 things. Number 1, open field pairings and combinations. Number 2, rallies. And number 3, garrisons. So, number 1, open field, pairings and combinations. Starting from infantry commanders. Pairing number 1, it is going to be 𝒟𝒹𝒹𝓎. Now we can see that he has a shield which can take a large amount of damage up to 1200, plus he does 30% increased damage for 4 seconds, and he has defense, health bonus, which is very good for tanking, so he is a strong tank, and he also does a counter-attack damage bonus up to 30%, but also 10% is great. So in the early game, if you don't want to max him, it's okay, you can use him at 5-5-1-1, which is good to use. Now you can pair him with 𝒟𝒻 Ironside. This guy has attack bonus, also defense, so you can get health and defense from 𝒟𝒹𝒹𝓎, and you can get attack from 𝒟𝒻, so you can have every stat that you need. Plus 𝒟𝒻 does area of effect damage up to 2 enemies, which is great. Next you can pair Charles with Sun Tzu. Now Sun Tzu, he has area of effect damage up to 5 enemies, which is super good in open field, plus he restores 50 rage, very good. He also has health bonus up to 10%, and he reduces the damage that he is taking, so when these guys are paired together, they are a super strong tank and very good to use for free-to-play players and spenders as well. So I recommend that you guys max Sun Tzu as your first epic commander before KVK 1. And as for 𝒟𝒹𝒹𝓎, he will be enough to use at 5-5-1-1 for low spenders or free-to-play, and for spenders, obviously, you guys want to have him max, because at expertise, he has march speed and also 20% increased defense. Martel paired with Richard I. Again, these guys are super strong tank during KVK 1, but only recommended for spenders, and free-to-play should skip Richard, to be honest, although you can get him to 5-1-1-1 because he will be useful in chaining barbarians when he is paired with YSG, using YSG's area of effect damage, so you guys can save yourself a bunch of action points during KVK. Next infantry pairing, it is going to be 𝒟𝒹𝒹𝓎 paired with buffing commanders such as Joan of Arc and Mulan, and debuffers such as 𝒟𝒹𝓎. And as we talked about before, Charles is very strong tanking commander, so when you guys pair him with Joan or Mulan or 𝒟𝒹𝓎, these guys have a longer chance of staying alive and buff your marches as long as possible. Now 𝒟𝒹𝓎 is a completely free commander that you guys can get from the expedition mode by finishing her missions, and she is good to use at 5-5-1-1 at least until KVK 1, because the last 2 skills are going to be about barbarians and rallies, which is not good for open field. So for open field, 5-5-1-1 is enough, and same goes for Mulan. She is enough to use at 5-5-1-1. And as for Joan of Arc, you guys should get her maxed before KVK 1 arrives, because as you guys can see, the first skill is very good and necessary for buffing your marches. She is good in open field and also in Sunset Canyon as well. Moving on to the next infantry pairing, which I absolutely recommend for free-to-play and low spenders to use these guys, it is going to be 𝒟𝒏 Ironsight and YSG, and 𝒟𝒏 Ironsight with Sun Tzu. 𝒟𝒏 must always be primary. Do you know why? Well, let's look at his first skill. You can see he does increased skill damage by 15%. So when he's put primary, and for example, Sun Tzu has higher skill damage than 𝒟𝒏, so when he does skill damage, 𝒟𝒏 will increase that by 15%, and same goes with YSG, again higher skill damage than 𝒟𝒏, so it is going to be increased by 15%, thanks to 𝒟𝒏 Ironsight. Next pairing is going to be Sun Tzu with YSG. Now these guys deal high skill damage, plus they have a skill damage bonus, so YSG has 50%, and if you go back to Sun Tzu, you can see that he has 20%. So these two guys together, they have 70% skill damage bonus, which is massive. They are pure nuking commanders, and they deal massive damage when you bring them on the field. And also, you can use Sun Tzu with Joan of Arc, with Mulan, and 𝒟𝒃𝓃 as well, if you don't invest in Charles Martel, which is what I recommend you guys to do, because you want to invest all of your gold sculptures inside YSG and max him as fast as possible. He should be your first maxed legendary commander, and you guys can max him before KVK 1 is finished. Now moving on to the cavalry commanders, and as you guys know, in KVK 1 there isn't many good cav commanders, so we will talk only about a few pairs who will have the best value for you in KVK 1. So the first cav commander is going to be Minamoto. Now obviously, if you're a spender in the game, you guys should just go and max him, because he will be a good commander during KVK 1, 2 and 3. We can see that he has high damage, plus he is fast and he has attack bonus, plus he's very good in doing PvE activities. From this skill, he can rally KVK structures and he can rally barbarian forts, so you can get the value from early on in the game. Now you can pair him with Baibars. He's one of the best epic commanders, especially being a cavalry commander, because he does area of effect damage and he has high damage as well. Plus, unlike commanders like YSG, when he does damage to multiple targets, the damage doesn't get reduced by the number of the targets. So Baibars is very strong to have. Make sure you guys max him as well. He also has the attack bonus plus the march speed, so when you pair him with Minamoto, these guys are fast and you can easily escape during fights. Next pair is going to be Baibars plus Plagueis. As we can see, Plagueis, he has Rage Restoration by 100 points, just like Sun Tzu, and he helps Baibars to do skill damage and AoE faster and hit more marchers on the field. Plus, he has attack and defense bonus, so it's gonna help Baibars a lot, and he has healing factor. March number 3 is going to be Baibars plus 𝒟𝒃𝓃. Now, both of these commanders, they have AoE damage, plus when these commanders are paired, they have a massive march speed reduction debuff, so your enemies will be slowed down a lot. Alright guys, now it is time to discuss archers. So the first march is going to be 𝒟𝒃𝓃 plus YSG. Now 𝒟𝒃𝓃 has silencing, which is very good to have, plus he has defense and march speed, which is necessary for YSG, because he only has attack and he's missing the defense and march speed stats. Also, he does have a chance to deal extra damage factor and do extra damage when he has less than 50% units remaining. So combination number 1, 𝒟𝒃𝓃 and YSG. Moving on to the second combination, it is going to be 𝒟𝒃𝒹𝓎, the new Egyptian commander that you can get from the gold keys, and you can pair him with YSG or with 𝒟𝒃𝓃. Plus, 𝒟𝒃𝒹𝓎's third skill has 10% chance to increase YSG's skill damage. That's why he's very good to be used with YSG, and you guys can use them in KVK 1, KVK 2, KVK 3, and also in KVK 4, well, at least until you get Boudica Prime. Next, you can do 𝒟𝒃𝓃 plus Imhotep. Now, Imhotep is an amazing epic commander because he does debuffing, he does AoE damage, and also he has 10% chance to get less skill damage for 3 seconds. Plus, another 30% of stats that is very good to have. And the last archer pairing that is also great to use for free-to-play and also low spenders, it is going to be Kusunoki and YSG. Now, Kusunoki can remove all the negative debuffs that you can get from debuffing commanders like 𝒟𝒃𝓃, plus he can have 30% of stats when he is expertised. Now, the last type of commanders that you can bring on the field and is awesome to have them is going to be leadership commanders. And leadership commanders, they are very interesting because they have a skill that allows them to bring more troops on the field. For example, here on Mehmet, we can see that he can have 10% extra troop capacity bonus, which basically it means it is equal to 3 of these ancient stratagems accessories. It also means a mini small version of these basic army expansion tokens, which is very good to have because when you bring more troops on the field, it means you can do more damage and also last longer. And that could only mean one thing. When you pair them with support commanders like Mulan and Joan of Arc, they will be able to stay alive longer and keep buffing your troops for a much longer time. So let's begin. You can use 𝒟𝒃𝓃 with Mehmet the second, and Mehmet will be enough to use at 5-5-1-1 because you can see at his second skill he does 20% attack and also 20% skill damage bonus. And of course on his first skill he does AoE damage. But overall, Mehmet is an amazing commander to have at 5-5-1-1, especially when he is paired with YSG. These guys are one of the highest damage commander in the game, and they will do perfect on the open field and in Sunset Canyon as well. Next, you can do 𝒟𝒃𝓃 with Mulan and Joan of Arc. They will be the best support march for you, but again, these guys are very weak. They don't have any health stats, and they will be the first target by many people, so they will die fast. And again, although you can bring more troops on the field with leadership commanders, but still I recommend you guys to put them behind tanky commanders like Charles Martel and Sun Tzu. Also guys, remember to always use 𝒟𝒃𝓃 secondary to any AoE commander. That is because when the primary commander does area of effect and selects the targets, then 𝒟𝒃𝓃 is going to deflect all of these debuffs on those selected targets. So she should be always put as secondary commander. Alright, so next in leadership commanders, you can use Ragnar with YSG, Mehmet, Baybars, and also Sun Tzu. Ragnar has a high damage bonus and also he reduces the damage that he is taking by 15%. He has 20% increased attack and also 40% healing effect reduction, which is massive when he goes up against Richard I because he has a big healing effect. So in general, you need to have Ragnar at 5-5-1-1 and he will be great to use on open field because the last two skills are only good for doing rallies. Other combinations can be Julius Caesar with Hannibal Barca that you guys can buy him on VIP level 10, but obviously these are only for spenders and free-to-play should not touch these commanders in the first place. You can also pair Julius Caesar with Frederick I and also with Sun Tzu as well. And Julius Caesar is enough to use at 5-5-1-1 in the early game, but again, free to play, please do not touch him, just invest in YSG or Charles Martel instead. And as for Frederick, well, to be honest, he is a commander that is only good for spenders, and after KVK 1, he will pretty much be useless and you cannot use him anywhere. So if you're okay with spending money in the game only for KVK 1, then you can go ahead and max him because he will dominate every rally when he is paired with Mehmet and also with YSG, which is what we are going to talk about in the next part of the video that is going to be about rally combinations and pairings in KVK 1. So, welcome to the second part of the video that is going to be about pairings and combinations for rallies in KVK 1. Now, doing rallies is only recommended for spenders and free-to-play should avoid it because there will be spenders who will have better equipment than you, better commanders than you, and better technology than you, which means having tier 5 troops. So, the best pairing for city rallies is going to be Mehmet and Frederick or Mehmet with YSG. They have a very high damage and you can easily rally any city you want with them. Next combination is going to be Minamoto and Mehmet. These guys, they have high skill damage and are absolutely good against archer garrisons. Next pairing in line, it is going to be my Spanish amigo El Cid paired with my boy YS the G. Now these two paired together, they're one of the best rally combinations to counter an infantry garrisons because of El Cid's expertise skill. So if you go back to my amigo, we can see that in the last skill, it says 2% extra damage to infantry units, and that is beautiful to have. Next is going to be Thutmose and YSG. Now Thutmose is just great against infantries, especially against Richard Garrison because of his first skill. As you see, he does healing effect reduction by 30%. That is just absolutely demolishes the Richard's healing. So I think 𝒟𝒹𝓎 with YSG is the best rally you can do against infantry garrison, specifically being Richard and Martel in the garrison. And also I need to mention that Richard and Charles Martel, they have high counter-attack damage, and if you look at 𝒟𝒹𝓎's skill number 4, you see it does 10% counter-attack damage reduction, which is amazing again, plus his second skill, which is very strong for doing rallies. So the best archer rally in KVK 1 would be 𝒟𝒹𝓎 and YSG, followed by 𝒟𝓊𝓇 and YSG. Next will be Ragnar with Mehmet or Frederick or YSG. Now Ragnar is all about damage. You can see he has damage on his first skill, attack on his second skill, damage on his third skill. He can bring more troops on his fourth skill, and of course more damage when he is expertised. So if you pair him with Mehmet, these two will be a solid damage commander. Same with Frederick and YSG. Plus I need to mention that just like 𝒟𝒹𝓎, Ragnar also has healing reduction, so it is amazing to use against Richard garrison, which is the most common garrison in KVK 1. So guys, that's it for the rally combinations, and now we are moving to the last part, which is going to be garrison commanders in KVK 1. Now again, this is not recommended to do by free-to-play players, but I'm gonna mention a couple of garrisons so you guys can use them during events like Shadow Legion and Ark of Osiris. So the best pairing for defending cities and flags, it is going to be my boy with the hammer, Charles Martel, with YSG. The next garrison is going to be about flags, alliance forts, and KVK structures. It is going to be Richard with secondary Charles Martel. Now keep in mind that both of these guys must be maxed and expertised, because if you want to do garrison for your kingdom and for your alliance, you need to have maxed commanders to get the best value and get better trades in the battle reports. So if you don't have the max, just don't do garrison and let somebody who has them expertise do it instead. Plus, equipment is very important. Now moving on to an archer garrison, it is going to be YSG with 𝒟𝓊𝓇 and must have complete archer equipment. And also now I'm going to talk about 3 pairings that you can use as a free-to-play or low spender to use during events like Shadow Legion and Ark of Osiris. It is going to be Max Sun Tzu paired with YSG. And if you don't have YSG ready yet, that is fine, because you can pair Sun Tzu with 𝒟𝒻𝓐. He is also a very good commander in garrisoning. You can see here that he does an AoE debuff up to 5 targets, which is very good. And he must always be put as secondary, because he will make the targets get 50 rage less per second for a total of 3 seconds, and that is 150 rage per skill cycle, which is just super powerful and awesome to have. You can also do Hermann with 𝒟𝒻𝓐, and that is because Hermann has rage reduction just like 𝒟𝒻𝓐, and it also has silencing like 𝒟𝓊𝓇. And in this case, most of your garrison troops must be archers, because you can see in Hermann he does 10% attack bonus, plus 7% here, that is 17%. And if you go back to 𝒟𝒻𝓐, 30% stats here, and 7% health, that is 37. So in total, that is 54% of stats, which is super good, and it is only useful if you have a full archer garrison, or at least most of your troops are archers. And now let's make a quick summary of everything we just talked about. So this is open field marchers for infantry, cavalry, archers, and leadership. So make sure you guys make a screenshot and have it in your notes so you guys do not forget about these pairings. And moving on to rally and garrison commanders, again, take a screenshot so you guys do not forget these. So as you guys can see, I gave you a wide range of options so you guys can play according to your style while doing things in the right way for your account. Plus, do not forget about the extra buffs that you can have on your troops, from city teams, from setting your right commander on the commander view, from the runes available on the holy sites, with the best ones being health and defense by 10%, and also by having a title in your kingdom. Not to forget that if you're fighting, you need to be in an alliance that has good tech and also has access to alliance skills. And also I recommend you guys to switch to France right before KVK starts, because it is KVK 1 and you guys are short on speed ups, so this will help you save a bunch. And you get 3% troop health along with that as well, which works for all of your troop types. And lastly, don't forget about the tokens and troop expansions. And as for VIP, you guys should be able to reach VIP 10 by the beginning of KVK 1. So you guys can get that sweet daily golden head. And if not, that's okay, because VIP 9 also works as well, because you do get that hospital capacity bonus. So I think pretty much we explained all the external buffs that you can have. And now let's get to the final part of the video, which is going to be about equipments. So I'm going to go through the equipment that I used in KVK 1, and I try to explain as fast as possible so the video doesn't get that long and it doesn't get boring. Alright, starting with the weapons, you guys should go with Heart of the Saints for your cavalry, and also you can use this green stick as well. But don't worry guys, it is one of the best pieces in the early game, especially when it's talented. It gives you 6.5% defense and 5% health, plus if it's on a set, you can get 2% cavalry attack. For infantry, just go with the blue shield, and you guys can have this piece till Season of Conquest or KVK 4. Do not go with 𝒟𝒹𝓶 because this thing is just expensive and it's gonna waste your materials. So go with the blue shield. When it's on talent, it gives you 10.5% health and 6.5% cav health. And again, you can use this piece in every KVK, even in Season of Conquest. And as for archers, for spenders, you guys can use the Golden Age, and for free-to-play players, you guys can use Staff of the Lost. And also need to mention that these three pieces are good to have on your commanders when they are taking Garrison. Now let's go to the sets, and here we can see at the Windswept set, you guys should have the helmet, the chest, the gloves, and the shoes for your infantry, and also for your calves. So have the same equipment, because these things give you march speed, which means you guys can escape faster from the fights. And most of them offer you health and defense stats, which they are the most premium stats in the game, first being health, next defense, and at the end it's gonna be attack. Also, when you have 4 pieces, it gives you benefits for having a set, 2% troop attack at 2 pieces, and 4% march speed at 4 pieces. So if you use them, you will be very fast on the field and nobody can catch you. And as for archers, if you're a spender, you can use the complete epic archer set. And if you're free to play, for helmet, you can use Helm of the Phoenix. For chestplate, you can use Commander's Heavy Armor. For gloves, you can use leather gloves. For legs, you can use Greaves of the Exile. And as for boots, you guys should use Edge boots if you're free to play. And as for pants, because there is no pieces in the set for calves and infantry, then you guys should go for the 𝒟𝒹𝓿 Humility for your infantry, because this is one of the best pieces in the game that you can still use even in Season of Conquest. And you can get this piece from the 𝒟𝒹 event if you are lucky. You can also get this piece from the tavern by opening crystal keys, or from some events like 𝒟𝒹 and Hunt for History. And if not, then you can use the Ranger trousers for your infantry. And as for calves, you guys should use the Gladiator, which again, it is one of the best pieces even to use in Season of Conquest. And if you don't have the blueprint, just go for the Vanguard Greaves. And this way, you can get the 2% attack bonus for having a complete set along with that green stick. Just one more thing for your infantry, if you guys do have the blueprint for Set's Brutality, then absolutely go for it, because this thing is amazing, and as you can see, I'm still using it in Season of Conquest, and this will help you quite a lot in open field. Also for your calves, if you guys do have the blueprint and materials, just craft it in KVK 1, but again, it is going to be hard to do because it is lots of material and the time is short, and if you're free to play, it is going to be hard for you, but try to do it, because this piece is also amazing to have in KVK 1, 2, and 3, and also in early KVK 4 until you craft the Navarre's Control, which is the best legendary glove piece for your calves. Lastly, talking about the expensive accessories, well, out of all of these, I would recommend you guys only 2 pieces, the Silent Trial and the Lane's Amulet, because the rest of these guys are expensive to craft and they are not worth your time and your materials, at least until KVK 1 is finished. Well, so until then, just have these 2 guys because they are the best ones out of all the epic ones here. So Silent Trial and Delane's Amulet, you can get their blueprints from the camps and keeps, and they are almost available in every zone. It may take up to 1 month of your time grinding every day for these. So if we click here and we go click on the boss, we can see that it has a chance of dropping the Silent Trial blueprint. And if you go back to the other camps, to the big camps like these ones, you can get the blueprints of Delane's Amulet from here. And now for high spenders, I'm going to tell you which equipment you should go for depending on your troop type and which commanders you use. So let's go to the sets right here. I'm going to tell you guys which equipment out of these sets you should go for. So starting with calves, you should go with the rifle, you should go with the helmet, you should go with the chest plate, and you should go with the boots. Do not go for the gloves and pants, because for the gloves you should go for 𝒟𝒹𝒹𝓎 control, and for the pants you should go with Ash of the Down, because these two pieces, they offer you health stats, and that is what you want to have on your calves, and that is exactly what I have on my calf equipment. You can see here that it is the same gear, with exception of the hands and the pants. Now going over infantry, go with the shield, go with the helmet, go with the gloves, go with the boots, but don't go with the chest plate and don't go with the pants, because for the pants you guys want to have the Eternal Night piece. This thing is amazing to have, especially on your Garrison when he has a special talent. And as for chest plate, you guys want to have the Hope Cloak, and again, just like Eternal Night, this thing is amazing to have on your Garrison with special talent. And indeed, I do have them on my infantry as well. You can see the same equipment, the Hope Cloak and the Eternal Night, both of them with special talent. And I just made the helmet, and now I'm going for the boots. But the difference is I didn't have these pieces early on since KVK 1, and I made them early on in KVK 3 because I am free to play, not a high spender, and that is how long it took me to craft them. And lastly, so we can close the subject of equipment, you guys should go for the entire set of Archer Dragon Breast, and that is what you guys want to have as high spenders. Now guys, just one more thing before I forget, let's talk about accessories for high spenders. The best accessory that you guys can have during KVK 1 is going to be the dagger, and you can get the blueprints from the egg event. But as always, I recommend you guys to have full equipment on 5 of your marches, and then at the end go for accessories, because as you guys can see, they are very expensive to craft. Unless you are planning to be a garrison lead or a rally lead during KVK 1, then these accessories are a must-have on your commanders. So guys, that should be it for the video. We talked about commanders, their pairings, their equipment, and also talked about extra buffs, VIP, and some other tips. Now the video might be long, but again I try to include as many tips as possible and don't miss any details, so you guys can have the best experience and have good investments on your account from early on in the game. So guys, if you enjoyed the tips and you find them useful, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, so I know that you guys are enjoying these and I keep making more content for you guys in the near future. And as always, take it easy, stay furious, and peace.